Hi, I'm Abi Symons. I am a writer and comedian, amongst other things. I see a therapist every week and have done for the last 3 years. She's a psychotherapist as opposed to a cognitive behavioural therapist or a psychoanalyst or anything like that. There are all different types of therapy helps that you can get, and the one that I've chosen is talking psychotherapy, which is great. The reason that I decided to go into therapy was because I needed help and I couldn't work out how to make myself happy by myself, and I felt like I was sinking, and it was a really difficult experience, and it was pretty unpleasant, and it got to a point where I simply didn't know how to do anything by myself anymore, and I felt like I was losing sight of who I was. And so I did the thing that felt like it was impossible, but I did it anyway, and I asked for help. And it's probably the best decision I ever made in my life. I've come very close to being on antidepressants at times in my life, and the only reason I haven't used them in the end is because they weren't right for me, not for any kind of taboo or stigma. Although I know that there are various taboos and stigmas around the idea of medicated help, and there shouldn't be. Because therapy and antidepressants and all those kind of treatments and medicines are to help a part of you that isn't working as well as it should, and there shouldn't be any shame in that, but unfortunately there is. So now I write about times that have been difficult, and I often write about the experiences that I've had as someone who occasionally suffers from depression. And I write about the things that I struggle with. I get panic attacks on the tube, for example. They're horrible, visceral, physical anxiety attacks that feel like I can't breathe, and it's incapacitating. And people don't know what to do with that. But they're there, they exist, and you can't get away from that. And I think the best thing that we can do as a society is acknowledge that and look at those things with compassion and kindness and work out how to incorporate them into our normal everyday lives rather than fight them or ignore them or treat them as weird or terrifying. I think that people are scared of mental health issues because they believe it's catching or they think it's different, and people don't know how to handle that. I often think that maybe it's very close to what people are experiencing themselves but trying to avoid, and maybe sometimes it's just too painful for people to look directly at. But I read a recent statistic, I think possibly on Mind's website, that 1 in 4 people suffer from a mental health problem, or I don't really know what the right word is for it. And I think more than that, 3 in 4 people are affected by mental health things, whether it's directly themselves or through someone else in their immediate family. So that means that between 25% and 75% of us are in contact with what we call abnormal mental health. So actually that means it probably should be quite normal, right? We should stop thinking of it as the weird thing and start thinking of it as the normal thing. And ideally we'd all be looking out for each other, and looking out for the signs that somebody is maybe struggling a little bit and needs a bit of help, and we'd all have each other's backs. And that's the world I'd like to work towards.